Oh well. Good morning, cuz. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hmm. Yeah, I've never done it live on YouTube, Cyber. Maybe. I don't know. Since Easy Door is here, I'm gonna do 78 to Downtown. Oh, hi, Ava. To everybody that's in the stream right now, you really don't know how much it means to me that you guys are on time all the time. I feel like Ava's always early. Same with Cyber, of course. And you too, cuz. But yeah, good morning, Rachel. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, Ava. Good morning, Isadora. Good morning, Cyber. Good morning, cuz. Did I get everybody? There's 8 people, so I'm missing at least a couple. Maybe people that aren't as active in the chat. This next song is called Around the Pond. Around around the lake? I don't know. Cyber, we need a better name for it. We need a better name. You're welcome, Isidore. Well, I hope you feel better soon, Ava. No worries, Cyber. I have nothing but time. Thank you for considering renaming it at all. Nothing, Easy Door. I didn't end up getting any cereal. I have random cravings for cereal sometimes. But as you know, or maybe most people on the stream know, I always cook my breakfast. I don't really do like milk and cereal. Every now and then I'll have like a craving for it though. I usually don't give in because I feel like the nutritional value of cereal is so low that usually after I've eaten the bowl, I'll probably regret it and wish I had, made like a sandwich or even like waffles and fruit or something a little bit more hearty, I guess. I don't know. I haven't had cereal in a pretty long time. It's definitely been over a year. Almost 2, I guess. I don't know. You're right, Cyber. It's like candy. It's okay to get some every now and then. I just so rarely can muster up the will to do it. Because with cereal, most of the cereals that I like are like specialty cereals. They're not just like Fruit Loops or Frosted Flakes or something like that. What I'm saying about them is going to make sense because when I get a box of cereal, usually after I eat that first bowl, that kind of satiates whatever craving I've had for the next like 2 or 3 years. And so buying a whole box of cereal is kind of like a waste because I only get one bowl's worth out of it before I'm done with it. Ava relies on cereal because Ava doesn't have the energy to cook in the morning. You know, Ava, I used to work full-time at IKEA, and I had to be at IKEA at 6 in the morning. Sorry, 7 in the morning. So I didn't cook when I was working at IKEA either. But I didn't eat at all. I didn't even eat cereal. What I would usually do is make a really quick lunch, like a sandwich and stuff, a little snack, and then I would get on the bus, and then I would eat it on the bus and like on the subway. So I will say that I am fortunate now in my life that my mornings are pretty much my own. I don't have to give my mornings to anybody, at least until about 11 a.m. Ooh, I love that chord. I love that chord. I'm so glad that I've started hitting it on accident more often now. I love. Sorry, not that chord. I was talking about food. I've been really fortunate in that my mornings are mine now, so I kind of have the first 4 hours after I wake up to like work out or meditate or stream or cook a breakfast. The evenings are not so much mine anymore. For those of you that have been in the streams for a pretty long time, like Cyber and Isadora, you'll remember when I used to stream exclusively in the evenings. And the major reason for that is because my apartment gets pretty warm in the summer, and I was doing a lot of summer streams. So I would want to stream later in the evening when it was cool. Um, yeah, I don't do that anymore. Some of you might remember that there used to always be kids playing in the background. You would always hear kids in the background of the stream, and that is because I was streaming in the evenings. Now that I stream at 9 a.m., the kids are always at school, weekdays, you know? At least maybe until the summer rolls around again. But, yeah, mornings are my own. Well, see, the thing about cyber, not the thing about cyber, that's why I talked earlier about saying I like specialty cereals. I don't like Fruity Loops and Frosted Flakes, Cinnamon Toast Crunch like those regular ones. The reason I said that in the very beginning is because my follow-up point was going to be, I know that a lot of people would say, you should get the smaller boxes, or you should get those little bowls where it's just like one serving size. But those little serving sizes are usually your Cheerios, your Frosted Flakes, your Fruit Loops, maybe your Apple Jacks, like your basic cereals. They don't really do the specialty cereals like Cinnamon Chex or something like that in those little things. So that is why that option is not open to me. I was supposed to get to that point earlier. Sorry, kind of got sidetracked. Ava, this is a song called Union Station. You know what's funny about this song, though? Okay, so Union Station goes. No, it doesn't. Those are the four chords and the melody. Very pretty, or whatever. And then the chords and melody from my Steve Harvey remix, that chicken song that I made, it goes. Now it goes. And whenever I'm playing Union Station, I always panic once I get to that part because I'm like, oh, they both begin the same way. Just the second two chords are different. The Steve Harvey one goes. And then Union Station goes. So annoying. So that's that's what was happening in Union Station. That's why I slowed down and started playing it really weird. Oh, now I'm just playing the Steve Harvey one. Dang it. Okay, Union Station. Now I played the melody of Union Station in the chords of Steve Harvey. Okay. Closing of my eyes helps though. Why did I do that? Why did I have to make two songs so close together? Actually, something that is important about that, which, ooh, I'm so glad I'm doing this in this stream, actually. This is actually very, very on topic. It's topical. So, a lot of times when I'm making a joke video, I will mine chords from a song either that I've already made and released, or a song that I've already written, whether it's released or not. And the reason for this is because if I'm going to be releasing, I don't know, a Steve Harvey Chicken remix or a reworking of Kanye talking to some evangelist, I don't want to, quote unquote, waste good chords, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to. Oh my god. Good luck, Ava. Please get that situated sooner than later. I don't want to waste good chords. Like, if I have a song that I love, like, if I have. What's a chord progression I like a lot? If I have this one. If I have like a chord progression that's really, really nice and fun like that, and I use it in a joke, like one of my little video jokes, I'm also going to use it in a song. Because like I don't feel like my jokes are a valid form of artistic expression. They are just that, they're jokes. And most people will listen to and watch those videos and go, ha ha, ha, this is funny. And that's not necessarily the emotion or reaction I want to elicit from my music. I don't want people to listen to my music and go, very, very funny. So to keep from wasting chords, sometimes I will reuse chords for my jokes or reuse chords from my jokes for original songs. And that is why in the Steve Harvey Chicken thing, there is the first two chords from Union Station. Just a cadence that I liked a lot, and I wanted to use it for a joke. Mary is leaving. Goodbye, Mary. I'm glad that you were able to be in the stream at all, even if it was only for a little while. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Thursday, yes. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. So that's the beginning of Union Station and the beginning of the Steve Harvey one. And then the ending of Union Station is. And the ending of Steve Harvey is. That's so wild. I'm done with it, I promise. Also, the beginning of the Steve Harvey song takes from this song. Oh my god. Remember this one? I never play this anymore. Sam, and good morning. Welcome to the stream. So, that part. I'm not gonna play the whole rest of the song, but this song, it didn't have a name, by the way, cause. But this song, I ended up using that also for the Steve Harvey Chicken song. So if you listen to the Steve Harvey Chicken song, it actually takes the bridge from this unnamed song, and then it takes the hook from Union Station. It alters both slightly, but it takes from different pieces of my songs that kind of fit together. Word up, Cyber. Thank you for being in the stream. Enjoy your meeting. So it takes a little bit. So, and then in the second half of today's stream, I'm going to show that a joke that I'm working on right now, how a joke I'm currently working on is going to take from other characteristics from my songs, including chord progressions and melodies, so as not to waste good music on a joke. I'll probably open up that project and I'll work on it maybe for 15 minutes. This in the YouTube stream helps so people can see my creative process, but it also is going to be right in line with the subject I'm talking about right now, which is kind of reusing chords from other projects, which is something that you should get into the habit of doing anyway if you're an artist, like reusing aspects and characteristics and qualities from other pieces of yours, other bodies of work. You should get used to reusing things. You shouldn't rely on reusing things all the time, but you should get used to repurposing a lot of stuff from other songs. Art. I mean, not limited to music, from other pieces of work, because sometimes if you take something that you know how to do well or something that you like, but you change the context of it, you change what the outside of everything is. Hello, Andrew. Welcome to the stream, by the way. If you take something that you're familiar with and you change the context around it, you can kind of morph and evolve that one thing and show different ways that it can be appreciated. So, for example, there's this. This is an example I always go to because it maybe is one, my most used chord progression, and two, I play it a lot in streams if I'm just even talking, because it's something that my hands naturally do, just from repetition, I guess. Now, there are a lot of different ways to play that chord progression. You can do alterations of the chords, there, or you can go a lot of places with it. But the important thing to note is I have used that chord progression in about 5 of my songs now. I used it in a song called Keyline. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I also used it in a song called Catching Up. 1, 2, 3. I also used it in a song called Into Thin Air that goes same chords. Just play a little bit more pretty than in Keyline where it's. Yeah, so I use those same chords a lot. Obviously, I'm just playing excerpts of all the songs that they appear in, but if you listen to the songs in their entirety, the stuff that's put around those 3 chords and the way those 3 chords kind of pop up in those songs and also the way I'm playing around them, the melody that's used to highlight certain notes in the chords, changes the context of the chords. Um, in a song like Catching Up, where literally those are the only three chords of the song, verse, chorus, and bridge, they all use those three chords. Those chords don't, they're not really, they're the main event, so they're not highlighted. You don't really focus on them too much. Maybe in a song like Into Thin Air, where I gradually go down into them, it feels like a resting place. It feels like I've done all this crazy stuff, and now I'm like, this is like the stable, solid ground resolution of the track. So you can kind of take the same thing, whether it's a chord progression, sometimes even a melody, a rhythm that you've used in one of your pieces and you can use in a lot of other pieces. I would encourage anybody who makes art in any form to get used to reusing aspects and characteristics and techniques that they've used in other songs. Sometimes having a different perspective on the same exact thing can make you a better and well-rounded artist. Yada yada yada. Blah blah blah. Kyle says that the song makes them think of a beach or a cocktail sitting on a beach table. I don't know what song you're talking about because now I've gone. Oh, you're probably talking about the Steve Harvey thing. That one. Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah, I get the same vibe from it. I hear it. Something about the. It's because that's like a very bossa nova, like Brazilian, South American rhythm. And I mean, if we're thinking about like South America and like Brazil, I can see beaches, I can see cocktails, I can see a lot of things actually. I'm sure you've heard of the pop music progression, says Ava. The vast majority of pop music goes C, D, G, F on loop, but because of the innumerable ways you can sing and play to it, it's unique. I agree. I don't really know that pop progression, but I mean, I'm sure I've heard it a million times. Um, and yes, this is true with anything and everything. Hello, Hank. Welcome to the stream, by the way, and good morning. This is true with so many things. Yes, it's true with like pop progressions. It's also true with like jazz progressions. It's true with classical music. Um, you're never going to do anything completely and wholly original. Everything is going to be pulling and being inspired and informed by other stuff. So once you let go of that, once you let go of the idea that you're going to be able to make something that is wholly full cloth new, then you can kind of play in the space of, okay, well, this thing has been done before. How can I make it at least somewhat mine? How can I make it something that's not? Something that I've even started doing in order to change that for me is I don't really know keys and scales and stuff like that music theory, obviously, but what I do know is what I'm playing. I do know what the keys I'm playing are, and I know that if I play what's a good example? Come on, what's a good example? Oh, I know that if I play this there, I know that that chord progression is the same as playing this. It's just that one, I've taken every note in the chord progression and the melody, and I've just lowered them all one. So this becomes this. And I can do that same thing by lowering it another note, or lowering it 5 notes, or raising it 2 notes, or 5 notes, or 6 notes. And so that is something that I've been trying to do to make myself play new chords, or chords that I wouldn't naturally play. Like, for example, this chord progression. Sorry, this is going to be hard. This chord progression. It's very pretty. But these are chords I always play. It's a lot of white keys. And so I was like, if I'm playing this, I should be able to raise those notes a little bit or lowering them so I can play some different chords that I wouldn't naturally play. Good morning, Biz. Good morning, Diz. Some chords I wouldn't naturally play. So I took this chord and I just raised them all one note from here to here. And then I did that same chord progression, but I did it higher here, starting there. So it goes. Sorry. Same exact chord progression. Same thing. This is the same as this. But I can naturally hit these chords all over the place. Even if we look at this chord, this is the same chord from the Gucci Gang remix. I don't want to play the same chords over and over again. I'm fine with playing the same formations, right? But I do want to have new chords in my repertoire, things that I know I wouldn't naturally gravitate to. And even when I was playing this, it felt so weird. This and that. I don't think my hands have ever hit those chords. In this progression or succession or any succession, I've never hit this. I don't even know what that is. It looks weird and it feels weird. But it's the same thing as it's just moved up or down. So what I'm trying to do is take a lot of progressions in songs that I play very often, like that one, and just lower it one so I can get a different sound. My ears are hearing this roughly the same, but my fingers are playing it very, very differently, and it's forcing me to kind of not only work in a lot of the black keys, but it's forcing me to become more naturally used to hitting kind of unnatural chords for me. So taking this chord progression and lowering it, or taking this progression and raising it, is forcing me to pull in newer chord progressions, new chord formations. So usually once I get really comfortable playing a progression melody, I will then move it to another place and then try to learn it and become more accustomed with it in that place, so that, I don't know, like my chord vocabulary or like my library of chords is bigger. Hank says that Mia Gladstone song collab. What about it? Did you ask a question about it, Hank? If you did, I missed the question. Oh, you didn't ask a question about what about that song? Um, if you hear my song, I'm not going to play it in its entirety. The name of the song is Double Let's, but this song is and was named by Leanna, and per the stream, I guess, rules that I've invented in my head, I don't play a song that someone named when they're not present. At least not in its entirety. I just thought those progressions were in it, says Hank. The progression in the Mia Gladstone song is not what you just heard. Mia Gladstone song is, it's a... It's just two chords. It definitely doesn't do any of that fancy stuff at all. I wish it did, but I didn't know how to do that when I wrote that song. So, no, there's just two chords throughout the hook of that song. I'm not going to play Double Lutz in its entirety, but even if you listen to the song Double Lutz, I start here. And for the last chorus, I go... which is the same exact thing as this. But if I play it higher, your ears and any listener's ears aren't noticing that big of a shift. They're just like, oh, it got higher, or oh, it raised a little bit. It's very easy to do. Something like in Fruity Loops, if I wrote this song in Fruity Loops, it would be as simple as like grabbing a knob for tuning or pitch and then just going like that. Or if I had it in MIDI, it would be as simple as selecting all the MIDI and then raising it up. However, performing it on an actual analog instrument like a piano or a guitar, it's a little bit more complicated, and it requires a little bit more skill and attention. And in doing so, it'll cause you to become more accustomed with different chord formations. Now, if you took away all of the black chords and there was, sorry, all of the black keys on a piano and it was just white keys, you could simply play the same chord by raising your hand. It would literally only be hand position because the songs, the melodies will be able to be played exactly the same, just moving your hand. Just moving your hand. However, the black keys being there means that playing this and playing this actually causes you to do different hand positions, like weird positions with your hands to accommodate for the fact that not only the black keys being raised up, but also being higher up on the keyboard. It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm not going to get into all the technicalities of playing piano and why playing things in a different key is more tiresome and exhausting than playing things in another key. But I will say that for me as a piano player, something that I found more recently in order to challenge myself, as far as the chords that I come up with and the chords that I play and how I play them, is by taking songs I'm very familiar with and then raising them up a few notes or lowering them down a few notes and then trying to learn that same song in this new place. Because the sounds are familiar and the sounds I know and trust, but the physicality of playing them is very foreign to me and sometimes will open up new options for chords. If you were in yesterday's stream, you might have heard the chord progression I came up with for this song. Now, it's a very, very simple chord progression, but this part here, that walk down, I wouldn't know how to do that had I not transposed or moved my other song up to this chord progression. Because here, it's that same technique. It's that same technique. So here, so anytime I move one of my songs around to another key or another position on the piano, it's forcing me to hit weirder things to get the same sound, to get the same like 1, 2, 3, 4 chord progression, but played up here. It's going to cause my hands to do weird things, and I'm going to go, oh, that's weird. And maybe it's something that's at the time seems useless, but down the road, usually I end up mining a lot of those things in order to put them in another song. The first time that I played this chord has been everywhere for me in so many songs. And the first time I hit that chord was an accident, because something that I used to do a lot is I would take a chord, like this chord, and I would play a bass note, and then I would move the bass note while playing the same chord to get a different sound. So, same chord, but there's a different sound here now because the bass note has changed. Now, I would do that a lot, partially because I didn't have a big chord vocabulary, so all I knew how to do was play the same chord and just kind of move the bass notes around. But in doing that, I would crunch up the chords, and when I would hit this chord, this was a chord that I would hit a lot, but I accidentally had a finger slip and hit this note instead. And I loved that sound. And if you listen, that chord is all over my music. That chord is in the Gucci Gang remix. 1, 2. There's that chord there. That chord's also in, I'm pretty sure that chord's in, the Childish Gambino remix too. It is. That chord, also this chord, and this chord are the same. It's just, I took it and I moved it to another place. I feel like I'm boring people on the stream. This now is just jargon. But basically all I'm saying, and I will move on, is that taking chords or melodies and moving them to a different place on the piano does not sound that different, but physically to play it is very different, and that's the tool that I am using as a self-taught piano player and composer to widen my vocabulary of the chords I can hit. I'm taking chords that I'm very familiar with and just moving them around the piano, and we can move on now. So, Earlier in the stream, I talked about borrowing chord progressions from another song that you have made or another song that I have made so as not to waste music on a joke. I'm currently making a joke now. And I will show kind of what I mean when it comes to that for most of the remainder of this stream. So, unless there's a song that anybody specifically wanted to hear in this part of the stream before I move over to Fruity Loops, now would be the time to say so. To accommodate for the delay and lag of the chat, I'm going to play a nothing progression while I wait to see if anybody does have a song they would like to hear before I move over to Fruity Loops. Good morning, Leanna. Ooh, we just went over a really important thing about double huts. Cause wants to hear Flight Plan. It's going to be a slightly quick rendition of Flight Plan, Cause, and I apologize for this beforehand, but Flight Plan is a pretty long song, and I do want to get to this Fruity Loop weird thing. So without further delay. How's your morning going, Leanna? I didn't play double huts. I just talked about it for a minute. Leanna. I will play Winter Heart 2, Hank. I hope it's good, Crazy. Leanna. That hurt my wrist. I went through it too fast. Okay, Oh, my wrist hurts. Should have started with Winter Heart. That song is called Winter Heart. Wow. Okay, now to the joke thing I was doing. Oh wow. There's a different way. Okay, so Flight Plan used to always really hurt this part of my hand, and there's a way to play that song to keep it from hurting my wrist or forearm or whatever this is. And it's impossible to do that and also play it very quickly. Or maybe they just have poor piano discipline. I don't know. Maybe they teach you something in like piano school about how to. Whatever. I'm wasting time. We're gonna go over to Fruity Loops now. Ho hum. Does anybody remember ho hum? I think this is a thing like old, like maybe British white people used to say. Ho hum. Maybe it's no, Americans didn't make that. There's no way we made that. Anyways, okay, so I was talking earlier about not wasting chord progressions, right? Remember when I was talking about that? I was talking about that. If you missed that, I was talking about it. And so, hold on, let me turn this up. So when I make jokes, sometimes I will. Is that a Little Caesars poster? No, it's a towel, Ava. It is a beach towel. You're talking about over my bed. Yeah, that's a beach towel. I was talking about not wasting chords. Now, the best example I have for that, right now, off the top of my head, is the Steve Harvey one, and the Steve Harvey Chicken song. Boonga 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 boonga. Oh. That's wild. Sorry. I'm on YouTube right now. Well, I'm on YouTube on my computer right now. That's wild. Well, I'm not gonna be able to pull up that project, but I will be able to play that project, which is the difference between the two. Remember, Union Station goes. Let me go to road sound. That's Union Station. And then the Steve Harvey chicken joke that I made is. So, yes, they're different, they resolve differently, but very, very obvious similarities are happening there. The very beginning of them are identical. Up until that point, they're the same exact song. And the reason I did that is because if I'm going to be making something that is a joke that's not going to be perceived as music with integrity, I don't want to put that much work into it. I mean, that's what it boils down to. I don't want to sit down and spend 5 days coming up with a great chord progression and melody and drum programming for the sake of a joke. So if you're listening to Omniboy music on Spotify versus listening to like a video that I put on YouTube where I don't know, remixed a Kanye speech or made music to a cat or something like that, it's not going to be the same level of effort. And originality is the word I'm going to use instead of effort, because editing the video is far more effort than mixing music. Okay, so the point of all of this is because last night, or actually early this morning before I started my stream, sorry, that's Steve Harvey. Somebody sent me like the video of this dog that was howling, and they were like, Omni, you need to make chords to this dog. Obviously, the dog isn't like singing. It only hits one, like, albeit beautiful note, but it is just one note. It's like one note with vibrato. And that's the entire note. So obviously taking that and putting that in FL Studio, I can chop the one note, and so I can make it like repeat itself. And so the note that I'm hearing, from the dog is that note, which is has a name, but we're not going to focus on that because I know this note goes in several chords. Now, what we were talking about earlier is like you can take, and this is the how I make my remixes. Usually, I will figure out what the melody is on the piano. For example, for Khalid's Talk, I knew the melody was, and I was like, what chords can go with that? Well, they're all white keys that I'm playing, so let me play some of the white key chords. You can like put a bunch of chords on top of it. That's not necessarily the point, but that is a technique. And so since this dog isn't even singing, it's just hitting one note, that opens up a lot of possibilities because I don't even have to really stick to any specific chords. I can play any chord that either has that note in it or is centered around that note. So if I have, hold on, let me plug the dog in. If I have, wow, that is very loud. If I have the dog singing here and I have it looped, and then I do like a quick drum pattern build. Let's just go like a four on the floor, like a housey thing since I've been making so much house music lately. And then I build like a house drum underneath them. Wow, that is so loud. You can put any of the chords on top of it you want. Have I rested on the chords that I want to choose for this specific dog howling? Not necessarily yet, but I know I'm getting close. I'm getting close. that same chord progression that I have from the other song. Remember when I was playing that earlier chord progression? Um, this one. Those chords don't match, but most of those chords do match though. So if I cut out, I just have to cut out like, which is sad because those are very pretty, but I cut those out and I stick to. And then I can like probably take the. It's going here, and I can go. I can make, so what I can also do is take the, sorry, and this is all brainstorming, right? This might not even ever turn into anything. Maybe this joke doesn't end up getting finished. Maybe I'm no longer inspired 15 minutes from now, and I don't want to finish it. But something also that you can do is you can take this dog bark and you can copy it. So, right, this is the initial dog bark up here. And then this is another dog bark that I copied it from down here. So you can take this and, first of all, you have to make it unique so that you can change it. You can take this, and what I'm basically trying to do is make a harmony. So instead of that note, I'm trying to add. I'm trying to add this note to it to get that note. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to take the pitch and I'm going to pull the pitch down. Hold on, let me make sure that homie's all right. I want to take the pitch down. Oh, no, reset. I'm going to take the pitch down. That's close. I feel like it's like between those two somewhere. And then if I play it, I can get like a little doggy harmony. Which fits more in the chords that I was playing. So if I have a doggy harmony, yeah, there you go. Too high. Yeah. So you're gonna make so I'm gonna make like a, and this, by the way, this whole video, or whatever this joke that I would be making, would be like maybe 20 seconds long. That's how long it would have to be. You'd have a video of the original video, so people know where the heck the joke is coming from. You'd have a dog howl. You put some drums underneath it. You play some whatever chords. Wait, hold on. I have a better bass sound on here. I think it's A52? A52. If it's A52, I'm a genius. Oh, if it's 8:52, my memory is finally getting better. And if it's not, it's not. 8:51? Yeah, it's 8:51. I was one off. I was one off. So that's pretty good. That's actually pretty good. Deeper, deeper, deeper. No higher. Sorry. What chords was I playing? Hold on. I was going. I was going. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what it was. Oh, okay. Now I have to make a new song. Hold on. Let me open a new. Let me open a new project file. That's insane. What the heck was that? I'm gonna save this. It's gonna be called Dog Trash. Please remember that you're saving it under Dog Trash Omni, because otherwise we're gonna forget. You're never gonna be able to find this project again. Dog Trash. Dog Trash. What was that? That was fun. That's what that was. That was good. I don't know what that was. I wasn't even playing with drums, but those two sounds together. Oh, that no. Well, maybe not that, because that's so similar to. Well, I lost it. Wasn't it? Yeah, it was that. Is that not the same as this? It's not. That's the same as. Wow. Okay, so I've wasted quite a bit of your guys' time today, and I do apologize for that. But we did go over the things that I wanted to go over, which was basically how to make a joke, and how to not waste music doing it. Because if you heard those chords that I was playing over the dog howling came from other things that I had already made. Um, but if we're doing a quick project report, oh, project reports, that would be a fun thing to do, and the YouTube streams. Woo, that's a good sound. Anyways, if we're doing a quick project report for that last song that I started in here, I'm going to go ahead and play a really quick progress check on where exactly that song is right now. Some of you are going to remember this song if you were in yesterday's stream. Some of you who obviously were not in yesterday's stream are not going to know what this is. But this song. Oh, some of you will, because it's the vocal bit. It's these guys. Hold on, let me. play them alone and without juice on them. It's these guys. Who actually remembers what this is? Does anybody remember this? I don't know who all was in that stream yesterday, but I feel like Kaz was here. Anyways, if you remember this, let me know. If you don't, that's fine. Kaz remembers. Thank you, Kaz. So this has evolved quite a bit. I'm going to play where it is now, or at least some of it where it is now. I'm not going to play the entire song. Oh my god. Okay, so ignore that fart sound. That's not supposed to be there at all. This was just a sound that I was messing with earlier because I was practicing... Hold on. I guess I can show this. Hear how noisy that is? I was practicing automation of white noise. So I was taking these knobs and I was moving them around. But... Oh, where is it? This one. This is the right one. I was like messing with that a lot. Sorry if that was very, very harsh. It was for me in the bedroom, but I don't know how harsh that was for everybody in the stream. So that's a weird. It's just white noise, but it's white noise like put through a LFO that's automating its cutoff and resonance and the frequency at which. I don't know why I'm drawing on my screen with my finger. Hopefully you saw the visual representation of what that was doing. But I'm going to erase that because it's very noisy. So this is the evolution of this track now. Oh yeah, there's vocals in here. Never mind. My bad.
The mouth to mouth. Do the shuffle, do the pop, and the bounce to bounce. Do the wiggle, do the bop, and the mouth to mouth. Do the shuffle, do the pop, and the bounce to bounce. Do the wiggle, do the bop, and the mouth to mouth. Do the shuffle, do the pop, and the bounce to bounce. Do the wiggle, do the bop, and the mouth to mouth. Do the shuffle, do the pop, and the bounce to bounce. Do the wiggle, do the bop, and the mouth to mouth.
This is a jazz intermission. the stuff that I added, I mean, obviously, it's come a long way from what it was earlier. For the people that remember, is it was just the like little scat jazz vocals at first, and then like the side change to the drums. So I came back in, obviously added vocals, just like nonsense vocals, and then wait, I'm looking for that. And then I added this like little, remember the white noise like noisy bit? I added it just for transitions, like right here. So I was gonna have white noise throughout the entirety of the track, but just having it for these weird little like sound effects, you can even see where it's automated to make the I call it bubbles. I don't know why, but you can see where it's automated to change the frequency in which it's wiggling. As the lines go down, it's wiggling slower, obviously, so it goes fast to slow. So I added those to the transitions. Obviously, there's the vocals. I have 4 racks of vocals that are like scratch vocals. I'm gonna fix later. But the first vocal is mine. Oh, sorry. Hold on. First one is just mine, pan slightly left.
Do the shuffle, do the pop and the bounce, the bounce.
And then the second one is mine, pan slightly to the other side. Did I say left earlier? It's right this way.
Do the shuffle, do the pop and the bounce, the bounce.
And then one is my voice pitched up an octave. And then one is my voice pitched down an octave. And then it's just played. It's played as the scat vocals are going.
Do the shuffle, do the pop and the bounce, the bounce. Do the wiggle, do the bump and the mouth, the mouth. Do the shuffle, do the pop and the bounce, the bounce. Do the wiggle, do the bump and the mouth, the mouth. Do the shuffle, do the pop and the bounce, the bounce. Do the wiggle, do the bump and the mouth.
And that just does that until it builds up. Once it comes in for, hold on. Once the drums kick in, it's just the bass, the synth bass that carries most of the like the harmonic integrity of the track. The jazz interlude. The jazz interlude was the part that took maybe the most time. This bit. So somebody was talking about the drums earlier. I'm assuming you were talking about the jazz drums. The jazz drums are all loaded onto a rig, a contact rig, and so for those of you that don't know what that is, it's kind of like it's so that instead of having like if you look up here, the drums are separated like by kick, hi-hat, tambourine. Here you can have whole sets of drums loaded into the same pattern. So, for example, right here, this is what these drums look like. They represent almost as like piano notes. And so those are the drums of it. Obviously, the piano part was played by me on the white keyboard that I have. This bit, sorry. And again, this is another time to bring up the fact that I don't quantize my piano because I do want it to have that live jazz ensemble feel. So if you notice the lines, like all of my notes are lasting for different amounts of times. They're coming in at different times. They're also, if we look at the velocity down here, they are being hit at different intensities. Like see how this note's way louder than the notes around it? If we take that and we look at that, it's because I'm playing one of the notes with my thumb, and my thumb just happens to go down a little bit harder than the notes, than my other fingers. Hello, Aria. So this is the piano chord progression of the jazz interlude. Hear how some notes are harder than others? Oh, word up, Izzy. My bad. And so I recorded that piano, then I recorded an upright bass, but the upright bass that I recorded was through my Yamaha Reface, just a fancy way of saying I did it through a MIDI controller. And so this is what the upright bass looks like and sounds like. I wanted to do something that wasn't looped, so I played it all in one take live. And so you'll notice there isn't a lot of repetition, but this is how the bass upright sounds. No worries, Izzy. I'm glad you're getting work done. I wanted it to have like a live jam feel. So if I can combine the upright bass with the piano and the drums, we have this. And since that sounded kind of plain, what I ended up is adding a piano melody. And what you'll notice about the piano melody is the piano melody ends up getting mimicked later in the song to kind of reinforce this as the overarching melody of the song. And the piano melody goes like this. And I literally just went on the piano and played it over and over again, and then chopped the ones that I did. Like I played it solidly for like 30 minutes, and then I just like not 30 minutes. I'll need be reasonable. I played it solidly for like 5 minutes, which is a long time. And then I just went through and chopped the middle, and I was like, that's the perfect, because like when you first start playing, what I've noticed is when you first start playing, you're like kind of uptight, and then eventually you reach like a loose thing, and then towards the end you start getting so bored and distracted that you end up messing up. So that loose, like human air in the middle is what I wanted to do, or what I wanted to capture. So I kept playing. I just kept playing over and over and over, and that's what you saw. You saw a take that is actually very, very long. I just cut out all of the end of it. And so that is the lead of it. So playing the lead with the rest of the drums and everything, it sounds like this. So, something that you'll realize from um, the melody of the piano, we're going into where it ends up getting mimicked by other instruments. So this is a saxophone that mimics it. And if you look closely at the title and sorry, the titling of the saxophone, you can see that it says MX6103 Alto Vibe Leg, and this is my MX61. This is my MX61, and I'm doing this for reference. So the thing again says 03003 Alto Vibe Leg. So if I go to the sax and woodwind sounds, and then I scroll to 003, it'll be Alto Vibe Leg, and that's the sound that I use. And so, even though I don't have the MIDI information for this song recorded right now, I do still have the MIDI information for the piano lead, which is going to be the same MIDI information as this melody. And then I end up taking it up an octave here. Same thing though, it's just an octave up. But the part that I really like is when I get the strings. So I'm also going to be aping it with the strings. And the strings are octaved a bunch of times. Like if you look at this, it looks maybe complicated at a glance, but what it really is just that same melody, but played at this octave and then copy and paste it down to this octave and then copy and paste it down to this octave and then shifted slightly. So there's again that like human error. So they're not all happening at the exact same time. And those are violins. It's just an orchestra. And this is kind of like those cheesy disco strings. Hi, Philip. And so the strings combined with the saxophone combined also with the piano melody and also combined with the bass line. Oops, the bass line. And then obviously combined with the jazz stabs, the vocals. And so the entirety of the song, again, a lot of it's being ducked underneath the drums, but you still have that the repetition of that same melody that we first introduced again way back here in the jazz arrangement. So for side by side, there's the jazz part. And then this is the dance part. And so I'm using different chords. It's not that important because the chords both like belong in the same key or whatever tonality or whatever term you're going to be using. But I am using different chords. Something to note that I am using different chords over here with the jazz piano. This is a different chord progression than the chord progression that's happening in the big dance part. And I like that because the same melody works over it. So I can take the melody from this very, very intricate jazz bit, and I can play the same melody over here in the dance bit, and it works just fine. But again, this song started with the scat jazz vocal thing, the vocal patch way back here. And I worked on it a little bit yesterday. So when I showed this song yesterday, it was just this. In fact, Kaz and a few other people will remember that yesterday I was only working on the bass line. I worked on the bass line in the stream a lot. I was showing how I was writing this. And so that was all the production that exists in this song. Of course, I added this little bubble sound after the stream yesterday. But then yesterday when I got home after working on projects, am I using slide notes for this bass line? I am using a few slide notes, but not in the ways that I usually do. There's only one here that is used in my traditional way for using portamento or slide notes. And I can't find it. Oh, it's right here. This one. Let me solo it so you're just hearing the bass. So I use it here. But something that's important to note is that there isn't a mod wheel on FL Studio. So, for example, wow, that should not sound like that. Oh, I know why it sounds like that. Bear with me, guys. Give me 1 second. Sorry. The joys of making music. Okay, so the pitch bend that you were referring to, or the portamento, is kind of like that, bending from one note to another. But what I wanted to be able to do is do that kind of modulation, wiggly sound like this. I want it to be able to waver. And so since there isn't an exact parameter for that in FL Studio, or at least for the bare bones synth that I am using, the way that I recreate that is by taking one note in the bass, like this, and I pitch bend it up, and then I pitch bend it down, and I pitch bend it up, and I put them in a succession like that, and it sounds like, oops, and it sounds like this. Very, very subtle, but I want the note to wiggle. Yes, as Liana says. I want the note to wiggle. And so I'm using that a lot, actually, in this song. So it's being used right there. It's also being used here. It's also being used here. And so that's the way that I'm using most of the pitch note bends. Because the thing that kind of is difficult about this specific bass note is, since it's being sidechained, and we do have to end the stream soon, guys, so I'm going to wrap it up really quick. But since it is being sidechained, a lot of this, like, imagine this is not even being heard. Wait, let me explain, because I know that what I just did with my finger and what I just said with my mouth probably made no sense. But this is the entirety of this note, right? But this whole part of the note, when I'm playing the song, isn't being heard because this is where the kicks are going. And I have this bass side chained underneath the kick. A really good way to explain side chain, which I have done on the stream a few times, but this is just for people that maybe they're not producers, or maybe they want to be, I don't know, and they don't know what a side chain is. A side chain is taking something and ducking it underneath a kick so that you can make room for the kick, because mixing exists. But this is how it sounds. Without side chaining, hold on, let me mute my kick. I mean my bass. Without side chaining, this is how the voices sound. And with side chaining, this is how they sound. There's kind of like a ramp in for each one of them. A good way to explain this without having the kick, just in case you can't differentiate between what the kick is doing and what side chaining is I would like to take something like gross beat, and then you put on a side chain. And so this is it without side chain. And this is it with side chain. See how it kind of ducks? So I'm doing that with the bass. So when I'm writing a bass line, I have to be very careful that I'm not writing too much of the articulation in the points where the bass isn't going to be heard. Because if I'm playing the bass with the kick, you'll hear the bass duck underneath the kick. And so when I'm doing something very, very articulate with the bass, usually I'll take out the kick altogether, so you'll notice the kick leaves for a second here, so that I can hear these notes, because that's something that I wanted to highlight that the bass was doing. But all things considered, wait, let me go ahead and delete this gross beat really quick before I forget that's there. Replace with nothing? Ow, wow, that hurts. Okay, so that is the evolution of this track so far. This track is not named, but it's going to be included in that collection of house works that I have made / am making. And so much like the other song, I can't get into that. Ooh, I have a really good point that I want to make, but I can't get into it because the stream's already lasted too long. But maybe remind me to do it for the Friday stream tomorrow. I'll go over it. But there is a comparison I want to make about samples and how to create samples, because basically I'm trying to make these sound like it's a sample that's just being come in. Yes, I did make this, but I want it to sound like I didn't, if that makes sense. I want it to sound like this is a completely separate song that I am now filtering in. The same thing can be said about the jazz part, because what I'm probably going to end up doing to the jazz part, very, very subtly, by the way, but what I probably will end up doing, I'll show you guys really quick, and then this will be the last thing. So what I would end up doing to give it that kind of actually, I could just use a paramedic EQ to do this because this is just going to be for an example. I'm not actually going to sit with this effect. But if you have an EQ, you can kind of take an equalizer and you can mix out a lot of the lows and the highs to make it sound like it's coming through like an old radio or something. And so I can take what was essentially this piano jazz bit and I can put a filter over it so it sounds like this. It's all coming through here. And so you can make it sound like it is. Oh, this is like an old like vinyl like jazz record that's being put here. Or, I mean, if you use the radio. So the only reason I'm making this point is because a little while ago we were talking about genres that are like musical genres that are kind of like oops, sorry, forgot to reverse my camera. Where we were talking about musical genres that are kind of predicated on resourcing, or the term I was using at the time was just theft, like things like lo-fi hip-hop or things like future funk, where the lifeblood of the track is a track someone else made. And I was talking about how I wanted to be able to make those genres, but I didn't want to have to steal music from somebody in order to do so. So a while ago I talked about how I made lo-fi hip-hop by first making a jazz record and then sampling my own jazz record. Goodbye, Diz. Thank you for being in the stream. Appreciate you as always. Thank you for staying as long as you did too. I know the streams have been getting longer. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I need to cut it back. Go back to a 60-minute strict stream. But I talked about making a jazz record in order to sample a jazz record. And in Future Funk, I talked about making a city pop record in order to sample a city pop record. And for these songs, where it's kind of like house, but there's like disco and also jazz elements, how can I sample jazz? Well, it's like, I know how to make jazz. So for this intermission, I just made a jazz track. I did the upright bass part, did the piano part. I did like, and I just went in and I played like, I knew the chords, but I was like, I can just play them, like give a little hop and a skip to them. Just stuff like that. And then play it really loose, have some drums on top of it, then put a little filter on the top so that it does sound like it's like coming through like a phonograph. Is that what those things are called? It sounds like it's coming through one of those horns that's connected to a vinyl player. Easy-Door has to go. I also have to go, guys. So I'm going to really quickly go over news. I have 2 new bodies of work out. One is called Quick Breath, the other one is called Ego Death. I worked very hard on both of them. You can find them on Bandcamp, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Google Play, Amazon MP3, Tidal, Groove, Deezer, Pandora, Napster, and YouTube, which we're on right now. You can check out a few of my music videos while you're here if you would like to. I have some t-shirts coming out soon. I have some stickers coming out soon. I have some shows that are announcing soon. But at this time, just streams. Just streams. Which happen every weekday, by the way, at 9 a.m. They used to end at 10. They should be ending at 10. I just need to become more strict. When I start showing projects, I think I get like a little distracted, and I'll even start creating something. For example, today, the only reason I was supposed to be at the computer was to show that dog joke that I was working on. Anyways, this song is called Hush Hour. I made it while I was abroad. It's the song that I normally end the streams with, and since this is the end of the stream, I'm playing it now. If you have any last minute questions, now would be the time to ask them, or last minute comments, now would be the time to say them. joking. That's a lot. It's a lot to ask for on the internet, so I'm always grateful for that. And thank you for being supportive. It's actually really nice. It's nice to have support, no matter what you're doing, whether it's art or just trying to get out of bed. So I hope that you guys can mirror some of that own support back at you guys, or know that I support you, as long as you're not trying to hurt anybody. Go have a good Thursday. Go have a good Thursday, everybody. I'll see you back here tomorrow for the final stream of the week. Morning Medley number 87. Abo.